Before we start today's show, make sure you subscribe to us here on Philadelphia Eagles Now for the best Eagles draft coverage. We're talking Eagles mock draft, scouting breakdowns, prospect interviews, and a whole lot more. As you can see here by the analytics to my right, closing in on 44,000 subscribers with shows coming your way every single day on the Birds. Subscribe, lock us in, and with that, let's begin today's show. So the 2023 NFL Draft continues to get closer and closer, and for Philadelphia, sitting in a pretty interesting position. They won the NFC, made it to Super Bowl 57, and now a pick at number 10, a pick at number 30, and a second-round pick. And on today's show, some interesting Eagles draft buzz, draft rumors, because Todd McShay released a new mock draft having some pretty interesting players heading to Philadelphia. Before we get started, shout out to Mike Halo. He was our Real One commenter MVP on yesterday's show. He must have commented 100 times, somewhere in that neighborhood, and his avatar, his profile picture on YouTube, really fresh. A.J. Brown rocking the Black Eagles uniform. Shout out to Mike Halo. You are the man. And a programming reminder as we look forward. Starting on Friday, I will be in Key West, but myself, producer Trizzy Trace, we've been grinding. We've been hustling, putting all these shows together to put out for when I'm gone. And of course, if breaking Eagles news happens, I'm going to do some shows from Key West as well. Just want to let you know I will be on vacation because your boy has earned it. I believe, at least. So just wanted to pass that along. Today's show is made possible thanks to our friends at Fume. And we have their devices here at Chat Sports, and they've been game changers for a lot of us. See for yourself at tryfume.com/chatsports, and when you plug in that link, you get 10% off the Journey Pack. Are you tired of struggling with bad habits? Cold turkey might be great for sandwiches, but there's a better way to break free from those pesky habits, and it does not involve weird mind voodoo or other bizarre tactics. Introducing our sponsor, Fume, an innovative, award-nominated device that helps you kick bad habits to the curb by focusing on the good parts. Fume is all about embracing the natural. It's not electronic, and instead of vapor, Fume uses flavored air. Best of all, it's free of harmful chemicals and packed with delicious, all-natural flavors. The adjustable airflow dial and movable parts and magnets make it perfect for fidgeting, which can help alleviate stress and anxiety while you break your bad habit. I wasn't sure what to expect at first, but I was pleasantly surprised by the taste, the feel, and the look of Fume. Breaking a bad habit can be tough, but with Fume, it's easy, enjoyable, and even fun. With over 100,000 customers and countless success stories, there's no reason you can't be next. So start your journey towards a healthier lifestyle with the Journey Pack from Fume. Visit tryfume.com/chatsports. Use the code CHATSPORTS for 10% off when you purchase the Journey Pack today. That's tryfume. tryfum.com/chatsports. Don't forget to use the promo code chatsports as well. So the latest Todd McShay mock draft, pretty fascinating here. A look at who he has heading to the Philadelphia Eagles with their picks in round 1 as well as in round 2. And let's begin with the Eagles' first selection here at number 10 overall. Lukas Van Ness, the edge rusher out of Iowa. And when I go back and look at the comment section, some people really like him, others don't really like him. Let's break down the player here. 26 games played throughout his tenure in Iowa, 70 tackles during that span, 19 tackles for loss, 13 sacks, and 1 pass breakup. My pro comp for Lukas Van Ness, and it's not just because they're two white edge rushers, right, who aren't the twitchiest of athletes. It's George Karlaftis, who went to the Chiefs at the end of last year's first round and had a really good rookie campaign. And let me pass this information along, and it might be in my opinion, but I'm going to back it up with some facts here. Not all edge rushers need to be twitchy athletes. George Karlaftis and Lukas Van Ness are really good bull rushers. And there's a lot of value in that in the National Football League because they are pass rushing technicians. And sometimes they don't have to fully rely on being that good athlete. Look no further than a couple of Eagles legends. Trent Cole back several years ago, and right now Brandon Graham, who's been in the league for more than a decade and flourishing still. They were never quote-unquote elite athletes, but they were pass rush gurus who really were able to fine-tune their mechanics in order to get to the quarterback. Trent Cole had a terrific career with the Philadelphia Eagles, and then he rounded it out a couple of seasons with the Indianapolis Colts. And in 176 games played, the Hunter, 90 and a half sacks, 160 quarterback hits in this 176 games. That's fantastic. 133 tackles for loss. He was good against the run, good against the pass. So too is Lukas Van Ness. And the highest amount of sacks he had in a single season, 12 and a half. Here's what Todd McShay had to say about the Iowa edge rusher. Van Ness has the arm length and the foot speed to dominate off the edge, and I love the versatility that comes with this game. He's arguably even more effective rushing the passer as being a 3 technique. Philadelphia lost Javon Hargrave and only re-signed Fletcher Cox to a 1-year deal. So I could see Van Ness and Jordan Davis wreaking havoc from the interior here. General Manager Howie Roseman loves building up the trenches, and Van Ness can make an immediate impact there after 14 sacks over 2 seasons at Iowa. I still think that Bijan Robinson would be interesting in this offense, even though that isn't a position Roseman prioritizes early in the draft. He's a top 5 talent in this class and fits seamlessly in the run-heavy offense. But Kenneth Gainwell looked solid at the end of last year. Rashaad Penny will be a big contributor if he stays healthy. This is interesting, too. They could still add a veteran like Ezekiel Elliott. So Lukas Van Ness at number 10, I like the versatility. You play him inside, you play him outside. And with that sack production over the last couple of years, obviously that is ideal as well. And this is a guy who you can count on being a grinder. So grade Lukas Van Ness as a prospect. Let's go Madden scale here. On a scale of 1 to 100. 1, you think he's atrocious. 100, you think he's fantastic. Let us know. Interestingly enough, Todd McShay going back to edge rusher at pick number 30 with Will McDonald out of Iowa State. Certainly an intriguing prospect, has a sleek build. You can fit Hassan Reddick in that category. Not overly big or muscular by any means, but a slimmer build. And unlike Lukas Van Ness, McDonald is very twitchy. More of an outside linebacker body type than being a true edge rusher. Former high school jumper, so that goes to show you and backs up the athleticism here. He has the length and quick twitch muscles, and ideally, this is why he might go at the end of the first round or in the second round, depending on which boards you look at. He would have had more production for a 5th-year guy. His 2022 stats. The production in terms of sacks for a guy who is really athletic and fast coming off the edge, only 5 sacks. A little bit undersized. Yeah, maybe that's why playing in the Big 12 for pass breakups. 7.5 tackles for loss and 36 tackles. You look at his career stats over 48 games. He did have 34 sacks over 48 games, which that isn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. 125 tackles, 40.5 tackles for loss, 10 forced fumbles, and 7 pass breakups. And I think the pass breakups there, that's something that Van Ness can do pretty well. That is not something that Will McDonald does all that well. Consider him to be a guy who just pins his ears back, uses that speed to get after the opposing quarterback instead of kind of hanging out around that line of scrimmage and having the instincts to jump up and bat some of those footballs down. Here's what McShay had to say about Will McDonald. Let's double dip on pass rushers for the Eagles in round 1. It was one of the team's biggest strengths last year with an NFL high 70 sacks, but Philly could use more depth there. Brandon Graham was re-up with the Eagles, but he's 34 years old. Robert Quinn might be out the door after the midseason acquisition last November. With long arms and plenty of explosion, McDonald hunts quarterbacks. He picked up 27 sacks, 35.5 tackles for loss over the past 3 years. Could be a day one contributor as a rotational pass rusher before developing into a starter off the edge to replace some of the aging players in this unit. And speaking of that, who is your dream Eagles draftee? I think that last portion from McShay, it is pretty notable, right? Why? Because Brandon Graham's getting a little bit older, and so too is Fletcher Cox. And some of these other guys along this defensive line, Philadelphia loves to build along the trenches, right? So if they focus on that area and bring in some players who are a little bit younger, cost-controlled over the next couple of years, you're able to replenish that talent. Now, again, your dream Eagles draftee, man, I continue to be infatuated with Bijan Robinson. As you venture down to the comment section to drop us a name, another reminder, subscribe to the show. Mock drafts, scouting breakdowns, prospect interviews, a whole lot more. This Philadelphia Eagles now, I believe we've been crushing our draft coverage over the last couple of months, closing in on 44,000 subscribers. To pick number 62 at the back end of the second round for the Birds, what's Howie Roseman going to do? Now, according to McShay, 2 defensive linemen here in Van Ness and McDonald. Another need here. Antonio Johnson, the safety out of Texas A&M. 71 tackles last year for the Aggies. Disappointing season for Jimbo Fisher and the crew. 5 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 3 forced fumbles. Like his instincts on the back end, wish he would have played a little bit more to put some more plays on tape. Only 9 games played. Here's what McShay had to say about the former Aggie. The Eagles lost Marcus Epps and C.J. Gardner-Johnson, so there are gaps at safety, though Philly did add Terrell Edmonds. Johnson might be the best pure safety in the class with the great ability to read the offense and the foot speed to close in on the ball. The on-ball production should come. He has the traits, but only picked off a couple of passes there. So for Antonio Johnson, you know, going back to what I said originally and what McShay said, I like his playing instincts. I do like his athleticism. Everybody really, really likes Brian Branch. I probably have him as my number 1 safety in this class because more so than Johnson, I love how he plays the game of football. He might not be the athlete of Johnson, but makes up for it for being a very, very heady player. So grade McShay's mock draft. A, B, C, D, or F. 3 picks to the Birds in the first 2 rounds. Who the hell knows? Howie Roseman, he could trade up. He could trade back. He could pull off a bunch of crazy moves. But I kind of like McShay's thought process here, hinging on what the Eagles like to do. I think the players could be a little bit better, but as we approach the draft, certainly going to get interesting.